Oh, Marlins fans, I really do feel for you. In my opinion, the Marlins have been one of the most interesting franchises in all of sports, considering all of the ups and downs they've been through. They were an expansion team in 1993 and somehow won it all just 4 years later in 1997, and then they blew it all up and traded everyone. They rebuilt again and then once again shocked the world by beating the Yankees in the 2003 World Series. Then they blew it all up again, but this time they built a new stadium and tried to put together a super team in 2012, and then, once again, yep, you guessed it, another fire sale. Here we are in 2024, and coming off a playoff appearance, the Marlins are once again looking at a fire sale right in the face. With Sandy Alcantara and Uri Perez needing elbow surgery, Braxton Garrett and Edward Cabrera having shoulder issues, a weak lineup, and the worst record in Major League Baseball, it makes sense for the Marlins to unload once again. In this video, I'm going to help out new president of baseball operations, Peter Bendix, with yet another fire sale. Let's get to it. Luckily for the Marlins, they do have some solid young prospects in the fold and multiple major leaguers with plenty of value and a lot of control, so this isn't a really hard rebuild. However, the Marlins will need to make sure they acquire a good mix of young major league ready players with tons of control, along with some solid prospects for later on. The first order of business is to trade Jesus Luzardo. Along with being one of the better pitchers in the game, he has 2 more years of control after this season, so the Marlins will be able to receive a solid package of prospects back. The deal I think makes sense for both sides is with the Yankees. Sure, they unloaded a lot of talent for Juan Soto, but they still have enough young players that could benefit Miami. Leading the package going back to the Marlins will be shortstop prospect Roderick Arias, their number 3 prospect and number 80 overall on MLB Pipeline, an international signing from a couple of years ago with 5 above-average tools and tremendous upside. They'll also get Chase Hampton, the number 85 overall prospect on Pipeline and their top pitching prospect. Along with them will be their number 5 prospect Everson Pereira, an outfielder who's had a taste of the major leagues already, has big power potential from the right side, and good tools in the field. Rounding out the package will be their number 8 prospect, left-handed pitcher Henry Lillane, who's still far away but stands at 6'7" with good stuff and a good mix of pitches. This package would allow the Yankees to hang on to both Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones and will help them solidify the top of their rotation with Luzardo, which could be great if Garrett Cole runs into more issues with his elbow. Next up is Luis Arraez, who's coming off a great 2023 season but is less than 2 years away from free agency. It's time for the Marlins to unload him while his value is high, and a team that showed strong interest in him this past spring were the Padres. I think San Diego would be a great spot for Arraez, especially since Manny Machado will eventually go back to third base, which would open up first base and designated hitter for Cronenworth and Arraez to share. In this deal, the Padres would have to give up their number 4 prospect and number 51 overall on MLB Pipeline, right-hander Dylan Lesko, their first-round pick from 2022, who has big upside with nasty stuff, but did undergo Tommy John not too long ago. Along with him would be their number 7 prospect and right-hander Adam Mazur, who shows mid to back rotation potential. The Padres get a solid contact-oriented bat for the top of their lineup, while the Marlins add a potential top of the rotation starter in Dylan Lesko. Next up is to deal away some other veterans in Tanner Scott, Josh Bell, and Tim Anderson. At the time of this recording, it looks like Tim Anderson might have himself together after a dreadful 2023 season. Mookie Betts has been patrolling shortstop for the Dodgers so far this season, but it might benefit them to get a more natural shortstop out there. It won't take much to acquire Tim Anderson, who's coming off a down year and he's on a cheap 1-year deal, so to make this more fruitful for the Marlins, we're going to pair him with reliever Tanner Scott, who should bolster the Dodgers bullpen nicely to help them pursue a championship. This will cost the Dodgers a few prospects, including their number 10 prospect in Peyton Martin, who has the upside of a mid-rotation starter but simply needs more refinement, their number 14 prospect in Maddox Bruns, a lefty who also has mid-rotation upside thanks to his velocity and solid slider and curveball, but needs to work on his control. The final piece would be their number 25 prospect, Austin Gauthier, a player with great bat-to-ball skills, plate discipline, and tons of versatility in the field. Now let's trade away Josh Bell, who they acquired at last year's trade deadline. He's a free agent after this year, and because of his slightly down on-field production at a lower value position at first base, compared to his remaining salary, his value is a bit underwater. But with not much time left on this deal, I see a team simply just taking the rest of his contract without having to give up much. Let's send him back to his home state of Texas to play for the Rangers, who lost Josh Young to a fractured wrist, and Nathaniel Lowe, who's been dealing with a strained oblique. So this would give the Rangers a veteran bat for some depth. Heading back to the Marlins in this deal would be the Rangers' number 17 prospect, Ashegri Vargas, who projects as an offensive-minded utility player with good speed. Last but not least, let's do the unthinkable and trade away Jazz Chisholm. Some people may find this crazy, but I don't think it's incredibly outrageous. He only has 2 more seasons of control after this season, and because of his inability to stay on the field in recent years, along with the Marlins not really wanting to spend money anyway, they probably aren't too interested in an extension. With Chisholm offering both a power and speed threat, one trade partner that I think could be a good fit are the Toronto Blue Jays, who I think could use a bit more pop and speed in their lineup, and he would be an offensive upgrade over Kevin Kiermaier in center field. Considering the Blue Jays would be getting a player who's a bit injury-riddled, the asking price will most likely come down a bit, and I think this could be a good chance for them to part with a guy who's also had his own issues in Alek Manoah. In this deal, Chisholm heads to Toronto, and back to the Marlins we have Alek Manoah, who I think would be a good fit for the Marlins, considering they've done a great job in the past with getting pitchers back on track. Their number 2 prospect, Aurelvis Martinez, who has plenty of raw power, and their number 5 prospect, Leo Jimenez, who possesses a good hit tool and glove. So let's recap. In this fire sale, the Marlins part with Jesus Luzardo, Jazz Chisholm, Luis Arraez, Tanner Scott, Tim Anderson, and Josh Bell. In return, they receive 4 top 100 prospects in Dylan Lesko, Roderick Arias, Aurelvis Martinez, and Chase Hampton, along with multiple other pitching prospects in Peyton Martin, Maddox Bruns, Henry Lelaine, and Adam Mazur, multiple other position player prospects in Leo Jimenez and Ashegri Vargas, and a major league arm in Alek Manoah. Another word of advice for the Marlins is to get with the times and start signing young players early so they can try and buy out 1 or 2 of their free agent years. Since the Marlins are never really big players in free agency, it's vital for them to identify promising young talent and get them signed up for the long haul. While this fire sale may put the Marlins out of contention for a couple of years, a rotation that could feature guys like Noble Meyer, Dylan Lesko, Thomas White, Max Meyer, Trevor Rogers, Chase Hampton, a project arm in Henry Lelaine, and a bounce-back candidate in Alek Manoah could have huge potential, along with a lineup that could feature a future star in Roderick Arias, a good hitter and glove in Leo Jimenez, and power bats in Aurelvis Martinez and Jake Burger. The Marlins have had plenty of fire sales over the years, so let's hope that this is the last one. So those are my ideas for the Marlins. Tell me what you think down below. Tell me your own ideas, but that's all I have for this video. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me, subscribe if you're new, and I'll talk to you next time.